Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia. I'm Jacob Rush, joined by my co-host Ryan Black, and we're back and we're playing with power. Ryan, man, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm loving the weather. I hear it's going to start getting cold, and so I'm ready to see that snow. Yeah, I'm great.
Is it going to get cold?
Yeah, it's going to get cold. It's going to start snowing like 4 days in a row. It's got snow in the forecast. So
what?
Yeah, starting like Friday is when the snow starts rolling in.
Dude, you don't get me excited. Don't get me excited because I'll get let down. I don't watch the news. I don't check every time someone says. I just hear it through people like, oh, there's going to be an ice storm today. Well, last time I heard there was going to be an ice storm, it didn't happen.
Yeah, so, that was a big letdown.
So that's exciting. Oh my gosh. I was just thinking today, I was like, man, I'm depressed because I think winter's over, and that sucks. Because it's been 50 degrees all week. It's January, dude. Where's my snow? Where's my cold? I love the snow and cold. I know people might think I'm crazy, but this is my time of the year. So I don't know. I'm hoping that's exciting. You just made my night. Thank you.
Anytime.
Oh man, dude. So anything new been going on with you? How's life?
Life's pretty good. I've just been, I've not been doing a whole lot, like, other than working, like, and just living at home, just kind of chilling. It's pretty relaxing around here right now, and that's great. I'm playing some games. I'm playing more than last week.
Good.
So I finally got to the third island in Pokemon. So
okay, very nice.
Made a little bit of progress there, and I've downloaded that new Pokemon app today. And
oh yeah, the new one. I just saw that. It's like a trophy kind
like
of
Pokemon
battle
Duel
game
or something.
Yeah. Okay, remind me of like Pokemon amiibos fighting each other.
Type thing.
Something
like that, yeah.
Amiibo stance.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Pokemon Rumble gacha that they had a while back. You can collect and port them into your Wii U. So.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's what I thought it was. I mean, I'm not going to download. I don't really have an interest, but I know a lot of people liked it. It's a small little fun game that people enjoy, so good for them. Especially with the Pokemon hype that happened this past year, people are going to download that.
Yeah,
people will download it. But so life calming down. I know you were talking about GameStop maybe working there a little bit more than you had.
Yeah, that'll be nice. I'm hoping he'll work me for like Switch event. That would be pretty cool.
Ooh, yeah, the Switch event. Well, that might suck though, because like we're going to pick it up. We're supposed to pick it up midnight. You're going to be there working. I'll see ya.
What it boils down to is if GameStop's been experimenting with doing pre-release of games like at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. on the day before the actual launch date.
Okay.
They've been experimenting with that, like just having people come at 9 and selling the game right then and there. So people don't have to wait out in the cold and stuff. And it's a company-wide thing that they're trying out. But I don't think Nintendo's going to be super happy about releasing the system early. Now, usually with the special thing with my GameStop is it is in a mall. So they're not always open for like midnight releases and stuff. So they send their shipment over to the store that's literally across the street from the mall. Okay. And so like that's where we would do the midnight launch and stuff. And that if that was the case, I probably wouldn't be working that because it's at another store. But if they do like the midnight release, or if they do the 6 or the 9 p.m. release, then I might be working that, which I'm cool with. I mean, I worked what was it? I want to say I worked the Wii launch. Or maybe it was the 3DS launch. I worked one of those launches in the past, and it wasn't too bad. I mean, I was like, man, I can't go home and play this right away, but it got over, and I went home and started playing. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Sucker.
Hey,
I'm going to be there with you at 9, but I'm going to be leaving to go play my Switch.
hey, man, I get discounts on my games though.
Whatever, it's all good. So if I traded my Paper Mario game and want to use like the store credit, do I have to go to that GameStop specifically to trade it in, or can I trade it into one over here and near me, and then that would be on like an account or something?
I would do the trade in that night.
That night?
Or that, yeah, when you get the Switch, I would do it then. You can go to another store and do it, but if you want to put it towards the system, like I think you can get extra trading credit towards the system, so it's better to do it where you have it reserved. Because they can put it on a trade card, but I don't think you'll get the discounts and stuff.
So they can do it then and there, right then and there?
Yeah, they can do all the trade-ins right then and there in the same transaction.
Oh, wow. You see, it's been a long time since I've traded in a game, so...
Yeah, it used to be they had to be separate and stuff, but it's not the case anymore.
I just didn't know if it was like a big deal because like there would be a giant line waiting of people to get their Switch, and I'm trying to trade in a game and get my Switch at the same time. I don't know if that would affect it at all.
No, it won't matter. It's a pretty quick process. Just show them your ID. They'll take down the information for the trade-in. It's really streamlined now.
Oh,
it's no problem at all. Some people bring in like entire systems and all their games. Now that may take some time because they have to plug the system into a TV and test it to make sure it works.
Yeah.
That takes time, but you're not trading any systems or anything, so
no,
you're good.
I'm just going to trade in that game, put money towards it all.
So I traded in my old 3DS, the one that barely works, and got quite a bit of money. Like I had to do a little bit of like a refurbish fee, but like normally I would have gotten like $100 towards the Switch for it. It was crazy. Like
you did get $100?
Close to it, yeah. For trading in my old 3DS, it was totally worth it.
Wow. Well, you going to buy 3 of them now, or you going to buy 2 Switches now?
No, but I did. I'm like $30 away from paying off my Switch. Now I still had to pay off, of course, Nisa's, but
that's right. You are getting 2.
Yep.
Okay. Wow, that's really cool. You're tempting me to trade in my 3DS, but I know I'll kick myself in the pants if I don't have one, because I'm a big collector. If anyone doesn't know, I collect all my systems. Like it's really hard for me to trade in this Paper Mario game, but I'm really thinking that I'll be able to find it at a used game store sometime in the near future, a little cheaper. So
my wife wouldn't have it if we traded in like all of our 3DSs. She still has hers, so we still have one in the family of the older generation. So.
Okay.
So that's how I could get away with that one. Plus, I could never use my 3DS anymore anyway. Like 2 of the buttons don't work, and the screen's all scratched up, and it just wasn't working.
Right. That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. But okay. Well, let's get into some news and thoughts. This week, Ryan, I have selected to talk about Zelda Breath of the Wild. We're getting really close to the release date, and I know it's coming out for the Wii U, but let's face it, it's essentially a Switch game. That's the big reason why it got delayed so much. They pushed it back to Switch. Just some topics that have come up within the past week or so that we've been finding out more about the game since we're getting really close to launch. Just found out that there's no dual voice acting, so I know some people were like mad about that. People were hoping that you could have the Japanese voices in there for the voice directing or whatever, voice acting. And then we found out there's also an alternate ending that you can unlock. And then literally just before we started this show, I found out that Epona has been confirmed for the game. I
figured they would do that.
Yeah, Onuma just said it in an interview with IGN that Epona is in the game, and
it really makes sense because you can use all these different weapons in Zelda, but then you get the Master Sword, and that's like your end-all be-all weapon. So like you can use all these different horses, but then you can get Epona, and that's like the end-all be-all like best horse you can get. That makes so much sense to me.
Right, absolutely, 100%. Well, they say your other horses, they can die. Do you know that? Like they can get killed. I wonder if Epona is immune to that, or if you can actually lose her in the game.
The Master Horse as opposed to the Master Sword.
I don't know. I mean, I'm excited. I'm glad they have Epona in there. I had been wondering myself, is she going to be back in the game? I think it's cool just for continuity's sake that she's in all the other mainline Zelda games like that.
Mhm.
So I'm glad she's back. That's cool to me. Makes me wonder how much of horse hunting am I going to want to really do, though? If I know I'm going to get this end all be all horse, unless you have to maybe you have to trade in all these horses to get this one magnificent horse and its Epona. That could be something they try to have people do. So I don't know. Alternate ending. What do you think about that? I'll tell you, I think it's cool. It reminds me of Metroid. Like Metroid, you have to do all these certain things to unlock the special ending. It motivates me to do everything I can in the game before I beat it.
I hope it's not something crazy like you have to beat all 100 and some
100% the game.
That would be crazy. I mean, that's possible. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't do that. It's such a big game. So that's like, wow.
Well, I heard on Game Explain, they were talking about it, and like they said, like, well, what if it's really something that like Majora's Mask, where like if you fail, it shows an ending of like Ganon breaking loose and actually wreaking havoc on the land instead. You know how like in Majora the moon crashed and you saw everything get destroyed. It could be something like that. I kind of hope not. I kind of hope it is an alternate ending because I think those are cool.
I'd like to see like a timeline split, but not like Ocarina of Time, but like a branch where it's definitely one of the timelines. But if you get the other ending, it actually dumps into one of the alternate timelines. Like you can end up in that timeline by going in that way. That would be kind of an interesting thing. If like there's another like fork in the road that leads to one of the other established timelines. Like if that event happens or something. Like if Ganon wins here, then it'll dump you into the Ganon wins storyline.
Oh wow,
that'd be kind of interesting. I am so excited to get into this story, to dig into this lore.
Yeah, I mean, your theory could work if my theory of all the timelines converging is wrong. So I think they're all converged. That's what I think. I think it's going to happen like that. It's too many spills from each timeline crossing over with each other. I don't know how, but I think they're going to somehow bring them all back.
Link does a lot of sleeping.
Yeah, he does.
He's always being woken up at the beginning of games. It's like, I can dig that. Like, I love my sleep, so I don't blame him.
I mean, if I had to guess, I mean, you feel like that this is like if everything fell apart at the end of Ocarina and they show you how the hero failed.
Yeah.
Like, I could totally see that, and Link wakes up 100 years and then later, but I don't know. Since you don't know exactly where the timeline is, there's holes in each route you go, so we'll just have to wait to see. Voice acting, I could care less. I want to understand what they're saying. I don't care if I hear them in Japanese. Like, yeah, some people think it's cool, but dude, I'm not going to go watch I just started watching Dragon Ball Super. I didn't watch it on Crunchyroll. People watching it in Japanese voices and stuff. Like, no, I want to hear English voice acting talking so I can understand. I don't want to have to read words when I'm trying to watch something. Now, old Zelda, that's old Zelda. There was no voice acting. You read the words. That's how it was. So I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, I think most people would prefer it to be English. Your common people, like your 13-year-old kid who's like, oh, this game looks awesome, and his parents get him it for Christmas. You think he really cares if he can hear him in Japanese, he or she?
No, it's your people that watch anime that like to watch anime and read the subtitles, but hear it in its original intent with its emotion and everything. Like, there is some things that when they translate it comes off skewed towards that particular like demographic. Mm-hmm. Like, you could just listen to the two different versions of the Zelda trailer, like one in Japanese and one in English, and it's very different. Like you get very different emotional feels, and it appeals to different crowds.
Sure.
So you're not going to get the same experience, but like you said, you prefer the dub stuff. You're not big on the sub stuff, and you don't care about hearing the foreign language stuff. But
I can't understand what they're saying. It's not going to affect me emotionally. I'm not going to be emotionally. I don't feel like I'm going to be attached to the characters of the story if I can't understand. If I can't hear them. I mean, granted, yeah, there'd probably be sub, but there's no dual. So if I got it in Japanese, I wouldn't understand it at all. That's for me.
Like I could watch Spirited Away. Like first time I watched that, like I watched it and I really connected on an emotional level with it, even though I was reading it. Mm-hmm. Like, so that's something that it can be done, but it's a little sluggish to pick up on those things when you're reading it and picking up in that moment. And especially if you're not like a huge book reader, you don't get those cues, like emotional cues and stuff, and you won't pick up on that stuff if you're not experienced with that. But if you're used to watching movies and pulling off of the emotions there, so you'll definitely get that a lot more. And that's just flavors and walks of life. That's cool.
You ever hear that Switchfoot song, Kim A or whatever? It's off their first album.
I wouldn't recall it if I didn't.
Well, anyways, I mean, he talks about.
Oh yeah, that one. I know what you're talking about now.
Nothing but a chemical in my head. Nothing but laziness. It always reminds me of this one line. He's like, "I don't want to read the book." He's like, "I'll watch the movie because that's just me," and that's me. Like, I don't want to read no stinking book. I'll just watch the movie version of it, and that's good enough for me. So,
that's blasphemy in some people's circles.
I know, but whatever floats your boat. So, but those are my topics. I don't think they're big deals. I think a lot of the news is exciting. Alternate is just people's opinion there. No issues. The alternate ending will be interesting to see how that actually unfolds. But and that's what all I brought for my news section. How about you?
Well, I had a news article, and it was completely and totally eclipsed by the news that I just got, like when I got on to do the podcast. And that is the Pokemon Bank is now launched for Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
But not only can you port all your stuff over from your older games, but you can also get a Muse Z move. It's like Genesis something. I can't remember. It looks really, really cool. I'm like, yes, finally a Z crystal for Mew. It's so cool, like that they're giving legendary Z crystals. And Mew's like one of the cutest Pokemon out there.
Yeah, is Mew something that because you transfer over your old Pokemon now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, that is cool. I won't lie. I'm not deep in Sun at all. Like I'm still playing through all my other games. Like I started it and I got to the first trial, I guess, and then I saved it, and then I was like, this is a good stopping point, and I just haven't picked it up yet. So I'm going to get to it. It's just not number one on my list. With all the Switch stuff coming out and Zelda on the way, I've been kind of diving into the Zelda world again. So
yeah.
So that's where I'm at. But no, that's big news for Pokemon fans there. Pokemon Bank. I know Traven was really upset about when he found that wasn't going to be at launch for Sun and Moon. So I'm sure he'll be really happy about that.
I could finally put all my hard-earned work in my Pokemon games into Sun and Moon, the latest generation. So I don't know if I have to have the game beat to do that, but even then, like that would be more incentive for me to play through it a little faster. I'm kind of going at a casual pace right now.
Not too bad. Well, speaking of games, man, you said you've been playing a little more. So what have you been playing? It's been Nintendo this week, right?
Yeah, for the most part. I'm still playing that Yu-Gi-Oh game here and there. But
yeah. I saw the trailer for that. That's actually pretty cool, to be honest. From growing up, if you grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh, that's kind of like the next step to virtual reality of, I guess, bringing it to life. That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, I mean, I've been playing a little bit of Super Mario Run, I still haven't beaten that. I've been really just extremely casual about that, like more so than any other Mario game I've ever played.
To me, that's all it is. I heard someone talking about it today on a show I was listening to about, like, I still haven't gotten past World 4. It's like, oh, and they made it sound like it was a bad thing. I'm like, look, to me, if you're a true gamer like you and I, and most of our listeners probably are, and what I mean by true gamer is like you like to buy bigger games and sit at home and play them and make time for these big adventures and stuff to really dive into deep games. To me, Mario Run is a game that when I am sitting at the restaurant waiting for 30 minutes to get seated to eat with my family, I pop on and I play some levels. That's what it is to me. I beat World 1, I think. That was it. Maybe even that. I can't remember. But like, to me, it's not a game that I'm trying to beat like a regular Mario game, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm glad I have it on my phone to just pop out when like nothing's happening. Like, whatever, okay, I'm not going to have enough time to play Zelda Majora's Mask for a 15-minute waiting period before I have to get back to work in my break or whatever. Mario Run's quick and easy and fast. So yeah, that's how I view it.
Admittedly, I did give Miitomo the boot. I kicked that off my phone to free up room to download the new Pokemon. So that happens. I'll probably get rid of the new Pokemon game and put Miitomo back on again because I really like collecting those coins to be used for future, endeavors. I hear on the 26th that they're going to have some Zelda themes and stuff up again, and they're going to have a bunch of discounts on Zelda leading up to the big Zelda game. Yes.
Maybe when Miitomo actually it's more fun, I'll come back. It's not deleted or anything. I
love the outfits in Miitomo. Like, I want to be able to port all those over to my Switch and wear them.
Remember how cool it was when it first came out? Everyone's downloading it and everyone's talking about it. Yeah, it was like a nice idea, but it's not a game, so there's not much to do.
It's a social app.
Right. It's social at that. I mean,
with mini games or micro games. Well, not really micro games, but yeah.
Right. I think it'll be utilized better as time goes on. So, but what have I been playing lately? Well, I have been playing Donkey Kong Country, which, by the way, I'm such an idiot, man. I rebought all of the SNES Donkey Kong Country games on my new 3DS I got for Christmas, and I bought all the land games, and I'm playing them in chronological order. So I'm playing Donkey Kong Country again, and I'm going to play Donkey Kong Land next, and then Country 2, Land 2, Country 3, Land 3. But I am almost to the end of Donkey Kong Country, and I was listening to whoops. Oh, sorry. I was listening to one of my shows that I regularly listen to now, play some video games, and they're talking about the eShop and how the Nintendo 3DS has Pixel Perfect mode for SNES games. I was like, yeah, that's the main reason I rebought these games, play Donkey Kong Country on the go, perfect pixel mode. But then they're like, you have to activate it. I'm like, what are they talking about? Whatever. So I don't do it as kids. I actually turned on my 3DS while I was driving. Then I was like, because I needed to hear this because I see this. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I'm playing. I'm literally in the last world of the game, okay? And I go to settings, and there it says Pixel Perfect mode off. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, I thought I just had it because, in the NES Classic, it has as a setting in there, the top, I guess, and you set it to it, I guess, but I never had to touch it and worry about it.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal when they advertised it, but I guess I just assumed it automatically was like that when I downloaded it, and it wasn't. And as soon as I hit the on button, I saw the screen just change and get bright and get clear, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I played through this whole game just to not even playing it in the mode I thought I was playing it in. So, but
just like your eyes were opened to what that looks like. Like, think of how big your eyes are going to be open to seeing the Switch, and it's
oh yeah, dude,
glory.
It was like Breath of the Wild. When you see Wii U version, I just saw some clips of it today, and I was like, it looks good in the Wii U. But then when you look at them side by side, it's like, oh my gosh, night and day.
That screenshot that you see, like where he's standing up on this really tall mountain,
yeah,
and you could see such detail in the Switch version. That's exciting to me.
Absolutely, I'm excited about that. So excited. But I guess the other game I've been playing and I beat this week, kick it off the bucket list here. This rolls us into our topic for the week, everybody. I beat the original Legend of Zelda, so that's what we're talking about. Let's roll into it. So here is the Legend of Zelda. All right, Ryan. Okay. Have you even beaten the original Zelda game at all? Like
yes, sir, I have.
One? When'd you beat it?
When? Oh gosh.
I didn't know this.
I don't know. It was 10 years ago, maybe.
10 years.
Well, I don't know. I beat it when it became available on the GameCube. That's when I sat down and I played it through and beat it.
That was like mid 2000s there, mid aughts. Was that your first time ever like playing the game, or did you have it before that? Did you have it in the original Nintendo?
I did not. My first experience with the game was I went over to my dad owned rental property, and there was one that was behind a college, and I went over there, and there's some college kids that were playing on this big box TV. They were playing Zelda, and I was like, "Nintendo! I have a Nintendo. I want to play." Like, "Oh, you're not old enough to play this game." And I was like, and then they popped the cartridge out, and I was playing with the cartridges, and that one was like gold, and I was like, "This is so cool! I want to play it." And it's like, "No, I'm sorry, but you're just not old enough for this game."
This is not rated.
I wouldn't understand it. I guess they thought I wasn't an age to understand it or what have you. So that was my first sighting of Zelda.
Okay.
But I really, really dug into Zelda on handheld after that. But I did get to experience it, of course, on the GameCube. I played it one other time. I think it was at a friend's house. I don't recall the details on that. It's a little fuzzy there, but yeah, I did have some experience with it, but nothing where I played a whole bunch. So what about you?
For me, my first experience with Zelda, period. I want to say I saw it. One of my older brothers had a SNES that he borrowed from his, my parents are married, and backstory for everyone else, I have 3 older brothers, but my parents were originally married. They both were in previous marriages before, and they've been married my whole life, and they had my sister and I, so it's been over 20 years, so that my family's been my family, but my brother had a Super Nintendo that he always had at his other mom's house that he would see from time to time. And, he would bring it over sometimes to the house, and I'm pretty sure he had A Link to the Past, so I could see him play that occasionally. He never let me play it, so I never really played it. But so I somewhat saw it, but I didn't really know what Zelda was. My first real experiences with Zelda, period, was with you. I saw at your house at a Super Bowl party. You were playing Ocarina of Time, and I'm just kind of watching in the background because you and John Hester were playing right there in that little dining room you were like on the floor in front of your cabinet where all the plates and cups were. You had a TV set up, and I was just kind of watching. You were playing the first Fire Temple as Kid Link. I watched you beat King Dodongo. Is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know if I said it right, but I watched you beat him. That was kind of my first experience. Still didn't really dive in per se, but and then I ended up seeing the commercials for Majora's Mask, and I remember Ryan had this Zelda game, and I ended up getting Majora's Mask for the 64 for my birthday one year with the strategy guide and everything. So that was my first Zelda game, but to truly dive in, I didn't. I really got involved with Zelda during the GameCube days with the Wind Waker. That's when you and I were hanging out a lot more. So you really introduced me to like Metroid and the Legend of Zelda, those two franchises. And I had joined Nintendo Power because of you, and I was seeing all the coverages in the magazines. And because of Nintendo Power, I got pre-ordered the same. I think it was because if you pre-ordered Wind Waker, maybe that's how it happened.
Yes.
Or
you got the bonus disc.
You got the bonus disc. So, and I saw that through the Nintendo Power, and that's what you and I both did. So, I got the bonus disc, and I ended up actually playing Ocarina of Time for the first time because of that bonus disc and beating it. And then, but they had all the other games on there too, Majora, Link 2 and Link 1. So I actually attempted it, and I beat like a temple, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. I didn't get very far. I know that. And that was my only experience with it. And I had bought it on like Wii Virtual Console, never really played it, just kind of had it. Because it's so difficult. I mean, you die so easily in that game. So I guess I can't really say I didn't play it until mid-2000s, the original game itself. So that's kind of my backstory with Zelda, period. But I had to go through like later games to get to the original game.
Yeah.
So that's where I come from. But let's actually talk about the game now. When you first played this game, Ryan, what was this like for you? I mean, you saw the college people play it, but when you got your hands on it, was this difficult, frustrating, where you just wanted to quit? Like I said, my first experiences where I didn't really try because it was like I just didn't have the patience for it, I guess.
No, I wasn't really impatient with it. In fact, I ended up finding the Lost Woods area, and I just spent a ridiculous amount of time going through the Lost Woods trying to figure out what to do. And eventually I figured it out on my own. Like, figured out how to get through there. And it was completely by, like, luck. Chance. And so when I went and actually played through it and beat it later, like, I actually got to, figure out how to do that. I had to look it up and figure out how to get through it. But I think that's, like, my favorite part is getting past the Lost Woods and getting to this new area. And of course the enemies are harder and there, but I was able to get further in, and that was like, oh, I don't think I'm supposed to be here yet. That excitement.
Yeah, kind of like you're breaking the game.
I was really sad when I died because, like, I'm never going to get back there again, and I never did until I played it later.
Yeah, I think that part is designed to be a lot difficult. It's, to me, if it was... because you can find the magic sword there. The magic sword is what they call it. It's like the strongest sword you can get in the game because you enter like a graveyard right after the Lost Woods. But you can't get that magic sword until you have like 8 hearts, 8 heart containers in the game. So you have to play a lot before you're allowed to take the sword with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, the game is it's really kind of overwhelming. I just said I beat the game this week for the first time. I beat it on the NES Classic, and if you've been listening to the past couple episodes, you know I've been playing it. I wanted to beat this game before Breath of the Wild got here because of just the resemblance of what they've been showing, how the connections with the very first game and the inspiration from it, and essentially that this is the original game almost, but for today's people, for today's graphics and technology that we have to make a game with. So I wanted to play it. Wanted to knock off the bucket list because Zelda is my favorite current Nintendo franchise that is existing and running. It is my number one, and it mainly is because of the story. I love the connection of the story. But I won't lie though. I used a map the whole way through, and I knew where every dungeon was. I saw the pattern you had to do to get through the Lost Woods, so it was not very difficult for me at all. So, unlike you, the true gamer here who figured it out yourself, I just I think it was like down. I think it was like go down, left, left, down, left, and then you're in. It was like the pattern. So, I just used. I had a guide. I mean. Even Ganondorf, when I got to Ganon, or not Ganondorf, Ganon, kind of funny. I actually could have beaten him on my own without looking it up. Because, like, okay, when you're fighting him, you're basically, he's invisible. And he's, like, going around you, hitting you in all circles. And he, I'm basically stabbing thin air. I didn't know what I was doing. And then once you actually hit him, he like stops and then he keeps going again. You have to hit him 3 times, and then he like is kind of brown looking. You've like stunned him for quite a while. I did that my first time. I stunned him, and I had plenty of health. And I'm like, okay, plant a bomb here, or stab, and I was doing nothing, and I died. I'm like, okay, I'm looking this up. Well, I was looking up, thinking like, okay, maybe like there's something I can do to see him visually, like and make him uninvisible. And then I actually stumbled across about, well, you got to shoot him with this blue arrow that you get in the dungeon. Spoiler alert. And I replayed it, and then the arrow kills him 1 hit and you save the day. So, I have to say though, and I don't know if this is from, because I cheated. It might have been because I used a map the whole way through, but maybe it wasn't. It's kind of the first time I've realized this with a game. I played through the whole game, and I get to Zelda, and she's just like, "Hey, Link, thanks for your help. Have a nice life." That's essentially how it was, and it's just like I went through all these dungeons. I died multiple times, even with the save button. I died tons of times, and I went through all this to kill all these monsters. And the deeper you get into the game, like a boss that was in Temple 1 becomes just a regular boss to get through in a dungeon to get to the new boss. And that happens with all the bosses. So events, I think like the temple before Ganondorf, like there was like 3 or 4 main bosses as just regular enemies in a room. So it's just like, it's difficult. The game is super difficult, especially them stupid, what are they, iron knuckles, the blue ones? Oh, gosh, I hate them so much.
Yes.
I hate them, and I hate the, like, magical ghost things. The
Wizrobes?
Yes, those 2, awful. Those 2, the blue versions. The orange versions come pretty simple. Yeah. But yeah, those 2 gave me headaches. But when I got to the game, I was just kind of like, man, maybe it's just the game of the past because that's just how it was. But I said I'm so thankful that games today have deeper story, and I feel like games today go out of their way to literally reward you for doing this, for playing such a long, hard game. I feel like there is much more reward today, and I'm so thankful for that because when I beat it, I just felt kind of empty inside. I was like, yay, I beat it. Now what? I went through all that, and that's it, you know? And I know that sounds kind of depressing, and I didn't think I would have that, especially playing the very first game in the story of my favorite franchise. But that's just how I kind of came out. And again, maybe it was because I kind of had a map the whole way through. Maybe there was less achievement that I earned on my own. I don't know.
That could be part of it. A lot of it is just you've had experience now with different types of endings and having that reward. Whereas back then, you would be playing through it and you would have no guys except for maybe friends to help you out along the way. or like a Nintendo, tip line you can call in, like if you wanted to. But like you didn't have much, and it was hard fought. And you spent countless hours going through these dungeons, and you felt rewarded just because you beat the game, and it doesn't feel so disappointing. But nowadays, like you go through games, you start beating games, and like Ocarina of Time, it's very fulfilling. It's bittersweet, but it's very fulfilling to take out the final boss and then all the stuff afterwards. Like there's a lot of that in all the video games that you play. It's very fulfilling. It's very enriched, and you going back and playing something that was so difficult, and the reward was to actually finally get through it on your own. That has more of an emotional value. It's why people hold on to these nostalgic values of games, is because I put so much time and so much like of my life and passion into this, and frustrations and all these memories that all just build up. And
well, there's stories of, people used to draw their, not sorry to cut you off, but like, I know just by listening to other podcasts, people talk about this game, like they talked about like drawing maps, like they made their own handmade maps and labeled it themselves. And like, I guess coming from their perspective back in the day, that's all you had. You didn't have the internet. Like you had to hand draw your own maps with like your brother, your friends, just by yourself. I mean, there's a lot of pride. There's a lot of accomplishment. So I guess I think it literally is just because I had my cell phone and like, okay, I'm stuck here. Where's the map? I think that really ruined the experience for me. So yeah. I mean, I'm sure people are listening to this and they're thinking back, yeah, man, I don't know. He's crazy. When I played this game, it was so difficult. When I beat that game, I felt so good, So yeah, I can see it. I know what it feels like to feel good about working hard and getting something done and accomplished. And let's be honest. Yeah, I beat the game, but I didn't try very hard. I mean, I did try hard. It's just if I die, I can literally press select on my NES Classic and start right back before I died. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, and you are not the kid you used to be who had countless hours to play. Yeah. You are a busy person with a life, a kid, a wife, and you don't have the luxury of being able to just sit down and play countless hours. And
no, you don't.
It's not something that's accessible to you, and you may have to take those shortcuts, and it is difficult. You may be at a point in your life later where you don't have to take those shortcuts anymore.
Well, and essentially with Zelda, like with this game, I didn't necessarily want to play it. I wanted to play it. Listen to me here. I wanted to play it to say I've beaten the game. But like when I get Breath of the Wild, like I want to play Breath of the Wild. Like I really want to dive in to the story of this game and like figure it out and get lost in it. Like I'm taking a 4-day weekend when the Switch is released, so I don't have to go to work and I can just switch all the time to play this game. So there, you can see my perspective going towards it is completely different. Whereas with this one, I wanted to beat it, but I wanted to beat it because I'm trying to get it accomplished before I dive into the next big Zelda game. It was more of a chore to get away to the big prize that I set up for myself. So, yeah, that's why we're doing this show, this episode. This game means a lot to people. It doesn't necessarily mean a lot to me. It stands for a lot because this is one of Nintendo's big staple pillar franchises, and this laid the way for the future of what we're getting next. It's because of this game right here, and I'm so thankful for Nintendo's heritage and past. So yeah, but this whole episode is not just about the original Zelda game. Ryan and we want to talk about some comparisons to Breath of the Wild. But before we do that, I have my little Bible here, my little, not my Holy Bible. I have my little Zelda Bible here called the Hyrule Historia that it makes it very easy to talk about any game in Legend of Zelda, at least up through Skyward Sword. I wanted to read a little bit about background story about this particular game. Won't take too long here. I'm just going to read it real quick. In case people didn't know, there are 3 timelines in Zelda. There's the main timeline that starts with Skyward Sword, and it goes all the way down till we get to Ocarina of Time. And then there are 3 timelines. And for the longest time, people only thought there were 2 timelines. But then Nintendo comes out with this, like, no, there's actually 3 timelines. So there's a hero defeated timeline where you didn't win in Ocarina of Time. Then there is the hero is triumphant, but you get changed back to a little kid after you beat the game so you can relive your life. Because you lose 7 years to become an adult. It's a long story. You haven't played the game. So you have the child era timeline, and then you have the adult timeline of the results after you did win as an adult. What happened after that? Mm-hmm. Now, the very first Zelda game ever, you would think, oh, yeah, this takes place at the start of Zelda. No, it's actually the second oldest game in the timeline. The one right after it is the direct sequel to The Adventure of Link. The resurrection of Ganon is prevented. That literally takes directly after the first game, according to the story, the lore, the legend, per se. But this game, The Legend of Zelda, is the resurrection of Ganon. Tragedy of Princess Zelda 1. So that's the timeline here. I wanted to read a little bit backstory. Yeah, this game basically says, came a day when the demon army led by the demon king Ganon invaded Hyrule and stole away the Triforce of Power. The reigning Princess Zelda divided the Triforce of Wisdom, which was in her possession, into 8 pieces, hiding them in different corners of the kingdom. She secretly ordered her nursemaid Impa to seek out the one with the courage to defeat the demon king. Ganon, angered by her actions, captured the princess and sent his followers after Impa. So basically, you meet Impa. Impa continued her desperate flight, but finally found herself surrounded by Ganon's underlings. Just then, a boy named Link appeared. Using his wits to throw Ganon's underlings into the confusion, he managed to rescue the nursemaid. Impa explained her circumstances, and Link made the decision to defeat Ganon and rescue Princess Zelda. Wow. So there you go. That's the backstory to the original Zelda game. That's funny because it doesn't explain that at all in the game.
I wonder what the little booklet that you got with the game says.
It probably said something. Well, there's even something on the title screen if you let it play through a little backstory. But in general, there was no deep story to Zelda. This was just Zelda back in the day, Didn't have the history it has today. So in case you didn't know all that, that's the theme of this story. But now there's so much comparison between this game and Breath of the Wild.
There is.
You've seen the concept art, Ryan. Explain to everybody what you've seen that you're just like, wow, I can't believe they're hinting at that.
It's the scope of it, how big it is. Yeah. It was a huge, difficult adventure to play the first one. And this is a huge, difficult adventure to play. And it has grown as technology has grown. Not only just beautiful graphics and everything, but just the scope and how big it is and the exploration, the places you can go. And it really opens up this huge world. Whereas on the NES, it was such a tiny game, but it opened up a huge world to people. And that was something that was so captivating. And I think that they are completely capturing that essence in the new generation.
I 100% agree. You see them with, even with concept art, like they show the mountains in Breath of the Wild. They show concept art of Link staring out into the distance at what I think in the original game is Death Mountain, but in this game, it's not Death Mountain, but it's the same figure, I guess. I don't know. But it's paying homage to the original game. Basically, the concepts of the first game they brought back to do for today's time. I mean, the original Zelda, essentially, that's the first open world game, man. Ever. As far to my knowledge, that was open world for the 80s. it changed the conventions and how you play a game, especially how everyone was used to Mario, a side scroller. Then you have this aerial view of a character going through everything. It was a whole different. It flipped the way Nintendo had made games and played them upside down. And essentially, that's what they're trying to do with the franchise again. You're out in the middle of nowhere. You literally start out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to. There's an old man nearby, just like in the first game.
That's a perfect line of like recognition from this game to the old one. Like, it's the old man. You run into an old man, like the first person that you can run into. Now here you can like climb up the mountain and go behind or something. But like if you take the direct path, like he's there. Like that's kind of special.
It's very special. Now, this isn't saying that this is literally a remake of the first game or anything. It's not. It's just because they pay respect to, I think, a lot of different Zelda games, but they're starting you out like this. They're going back to the conventions where you can, like we talked about, you went into a part of Zelda 1 that you weren't supposed to go into yet by going through the Lost Woods and into the grave. Technically, you're not supposed to, but you can. You can, and if you're good enough to somehow kill everything and survive, more power to you. Congrats. But it's going to be a very hard adventure. That's what worries the crap out of me about this new game is that, like, the Zelda I've grown up with has been very point A to point B to point C to point D. It's very like you go here, and you're gradually getting stronger. They're not going to send me to the water temple when I'm only young Link and haven't even played through the Deku Tree Temple in Ocarina of Time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm nervous about this game because there were temples in this game. So I guess I didn't do everything exactly right. I figured things out myself from messing up because like I didn't realize that there were power-ups for suits that you could get. I knew that there were power-up swords, but I didn't realize I could get like a white tunic and then eventually get a red tunic, and that like decreased the damage people got you. I got through maybe 2 or 3 temples that I died tons of times in because I was the green tunic, and I was like, wait, what? Because I saw like when I was looking at my maps, and there'd be screenshots like they're wearing like a white tunic, and I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, how do they have a white tunic? And I eventually found it.
Yeah, you could upgrade your shield too, correct? You could get a bigger shield.
I think you can. I never did.
Yeah, you could actually stop the Wizrobe's like beams, I think, with the bigger one or something like that. Or maybe you couldn't with the other.
Are you kidding?
That would have made it a lot easier for you.
Yeah. Wow. Well, hey, there you go. I beat it with that. That makes me feel a little bit happier.
That's what I heard anyway, so I don't know
you don't even get the red suit till like the final temple.
I don't think I ever got that unless it was something you did have to come across. Like, I don't know if I ever got that. I remember getting the silver one or the blue or whatever color that was. Like, it's
like white or silver, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you pay for that one, but then the red one you find in the temple.
When I play, that's where I beeline for that area, like right away. I love that damage reduction. I never knew that. See, I made it through like a good chunk of temples without knowing that, and just living off of potions and stuff. So, and my Nest select button to restart when I died. So, so I mean that's cool. I guess that makes me feel a little better about my journey there. So I did some hard stuff. See, but so I mean that's the conventions of Breath of the Wild, and I guess go ahead. We'll get to see just like how similar this is once we actually get hands on. We've seen snips and everything, like snippets. I just love to get into that, and it's another exploration that we can do. Like, you've now played the first one, you've played it through, you've beaten it, you've done your exploration of that world, and it really is giving you a perspective of what you're seeing going into Breath of the Wild. I think that if you have time in this month or so, a little bit more than a month, to play through the original Zelda, please do. like as listeners, like just to get an idea of the scope of this Breath of the Wild and how it's taken it to a new generation and a new just experience of Zelda that has never been done before. It's one of the largest games, like Game World's ever made.
Especially Nintendo, at least.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to count like World of Warcraft or something. I think that's pretty huge, but like
different.
Yeah, it is different. Like it eclipses most other games like it, and it's grand. It's going to be a grand adventure. But please experience the older.
Yeah.
Like go back and play that, even if you don't aim to beat it. Like just go back and play it. Give it a good try, and find some new areas. Do some exploring. Light some things on fire. Bomb lots of walls. Have fun, and that can fill your time waiting for this last month. Heading into the big Switch reveal or big Switch launch. And
yeah, definitely.
The Wild. You can finally dive into that. It's been a long journey, and we're gonna finally get to reap the rewards of that.
And Ryan, just a couple connections too. That while you were talking, it just kind of popped in my head. Like they brought back this Zelda games. Like they're bringing back meat. Like you can literally get meat to replenish your hearts. The first Zelda game had meat. There was a bunch of Zelda games, I think, between that didn't really have like food like that you could eat to replenish your hearts. And just before we talked about the suits to give the power to reduce your damage, and maybe Breath of the Wild has some of that. You literally. Like it was, that's why I said I always would quit in the past, because it was so difficult. You walk, you get hit, and you're dead in like a couple hits. Breath of the Wild, like when you take damage, it knocks out a lot of health. It's not like half a heart. Like you get hit by a beam by one of the guardians.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it takes out like 7 hearts.
And it's not just the damage factor, but also some of the enemies are really like strategizing to get around you and to break you down and to overwhelm you. And that is, plus the damage factor add to that is a challenge I am ready for.
I don't know if I'm ready for it, but bring it. I guess I have to be by the time the game gets here. So,
hey, some people are ready to be heroes. Some have to grow into it.
Yeah. I'll grow into it. Once the game gets here and I dive in, I'll feel like a champ. I'm the best Zelda player in the world, and then I'll put it down for a month and forget how to play it. So, but, well, guys, I think that's about it. For the next, Ryan and I have decided for the next month, really, leading up to the launch of the Switch, we're going to do Zelda coverage, and we're going to talk about key games within the timeline that we think are just really important games to the story of Zelda, not necessarily the alternating gameplay staples of video gaming in general, like this first one and Ocarina of Time are, but we're going to just talk about key story games and games that just meant a lot to us playing, and maybe we had tons of experience with, or maybe Ryan had more with one than I had. So, that's what we're going to be doing. Thank you all for listening. Ryan, you want to do our due diligence and let them all get back to their day?
Yes, thank you so much for listening to us on SoundCloud and iTunes. Just go on iTunes, give us a like, leave a comment. It helps us out and boosts our ratings and gets us out there. Join us on Facebook. We are getting ready to start making some major movements there to advertise and grow that community. So please join us on there. Join the conversation. Find us on Twitter. We're posting all kinds of deals and news articles from different companies. Just check us out there. And if you do need to get a hold of us for any reason, Nintendo Nostalgia IN@gmail.com.
There you have it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good one, and we'll see you next week.
Till next week.
See ya.